Chapter 3. Kenneth. "Are you awake, sir?" Mace Flower came around Kenneth's leg seat and handed him a hot towel with tongs. "Oh, thank you. Would you like a snack or a beverage?" Kenneth wiped off his face with the towel. "How about a bourbon on the rocks to wake me up?" Giving him a faint smile, the blonde turned around and floated into the lounge. Kenneth picked up and folded the blanket clumped at the bottom of his feet. He jammed it into the space under the seat in front of him and took a moment to appreciate the Earth's vivid blue sky and clouds through the window. What's the best word to describe it? Treacherous? Just as Kenneth was starting to think about Gigi, "Here you are, sir." Mace brought him a glass with a straw in it. Kenneth thanked her, and as he was handed over the glass, he started to snicker. "What's so funny, sir?" Mace asked while giving a quick glance at his chest. "Oh, it's nothing. I was just getting ahead of myself for a moment." Kenneth had the cold-hearted veteran's face in moments like this. "Is that so? I just realized I do like girls like you after all." "Whatever do you mean by that?" "Well, I will not go too much into details, for you might mistake me for a racist or some sort, but I came to a conclusion that every blonde is different." "I see. That is definitely complex." The blonde shrugged her shoulders in an animated fashion and gave him a faint smile with her lips glowing in red. Kenneth's ex-wife was one controlling blonde white woman. She would force him to say "I love you" constantly, and never forgot to remind him that attending his child's sports meets was a father's undebatable responsibility. There were many occasions where he just wanted to tell her off and say he was a pilot before anything else. They ended up getting divorced in the end, but Kenneth still liked blonde white women nonetheless. Even though it may seem like it, it was not about race. It may exist in the core of the concept, but for Kenneth, it was more than just about a racial prejudice. It was more of a personal preference for him. The reason why Kenneth was able to like a girl named Gigi Andalusia was not because of sentimental reasons, but her existence itself. It was both rational and intuitive at the same time. It was not physiological. He felt pressured just by knowing that she exists. If it was not a power of presence, what else would it be? What's more, Gigi's presence was so powerful, he would find it easier to put up with the below-average woman who would demand him to tell her "I love you" 1,000,000 times. Talking about feelings is hard, you know. That's because it's not conceptual. I mean, I've met all kinds of people and worked many different jobs, but what I just felt was I like girls of your proportions. That's how I am feeling right now. Is that how a man entering middle age flirts? I don't mind if I came out that way, miss. Kenneth held his breath, feeling a little embarrassed about not knowing the blonde's name. She had a name tag on her chest when she was wearing a stewardess uniform, but she no longer had it now that she was serving as a flight companion. Mace Flower. Flower? No, Flower. Where are you from? You sound like the police. That's why I don't like working on this ship. Do you visit Earth often? Not so much. This time I am on vacation half the time. Can't you take a break after this? Kenneth lied. Why, are you asking me out? I will be doing some gardening since I have a room in Hong Kong, which is our landing point. Well, that's rich. Which side are you from? I hate space. I seem to feel weak magnetism like gravity, and I prefer that way. Whatever her words meant, Kenneth was in a moment of relief, for he liked her more than Gigi. I would like to see you again if you have some time. Sure. Is this hard getting old? Mace switched subjects while leaning against a seat, but Kenneth didn't mind. She needed some time to think as well. He took a sip out of the straw and answered, Not really. Why is that? Well, for one thing, I no longer get nervous when talking to a beautiful girl like you. When I was a teenager, I would choke. My chest was always tingling and wasn't able to do anything. This is certainly better than that. But I would rather you got nervous. That's because you still haven't forgot about how you felt when you first fell in love. But you already know that is not realistic. Ha ha ha, you saw right through me, sir. Mace gave Kenneth the "I'll take off" look as the young man came out of the hatch and she passed by him. I am sorry to disturb you. The young man talked to Kenneth for the first time. You're fine. Kenneth had no idea who it was, but he kept on sipping on the bourbon and looking out at the earth drifting beneath the window. As soon as the young man next to him started gazing at his laptop, all of the passengers in the lounge started moving into the cabin. Kenneth stared at Gigi Andalusia over the seat as she was escorted into the cabin by the gentleman. I almost want to agree with Mufti after seeing those cocky cabinet ministers. Kenneth again thought of the relationship between the cabinet ministers and Mufti. He is a soldier because he knows adults can't escape from regulations and restrictions of organizations. I would have befriended Mufti if I ever chose to live like them. He could feel that way probably because he was somewhat proud of who he was. However, normally people are barely getting by, and once they find a way to make the ends meet, they cling to it for the rest of their lives. Normal people aren't usually able to have any connections with the Earth Federation government's cabinet ministers or high officials, and they are too busy living their lives to think about some vague entity like the government. The same goes for Kenneth. He is only in the army because he liked the mobile suits. He gets to make a living doing what he likes, and as a result, he doesn't hate his life for what it is. The humanoid weapon known as a mobile suit is the one thing he can truly have feelings toward. So much so that while he was fighting on the front line as a pilot inside of a mobile suit during Char's rebellion, he felt something akin to an ecstasy. Mobile suits were always as honest to him as he was to them. They were the one thing that never betrayed him. That is why Kenneth was able to survive to this day. I was being overly sentimental thanks to Gigi, but women have been nothing but an obstruction in my life, he thought.